In 2009, a revolutionary idea was born: a decentralized digital currency, Bitcoin. At the heart of this movement lies the Genesis block, the very first block ever mined. But there is something peculiar about it. Its first Bitcoins remain untouched, and its ownership hides the mystery. This is just not a story about money. It is about power, secrecy, and the future of how we define financial freedom. To understand the significance of the Genesis block, we first need to resolve its origin story and explore the hidden messages embedded with it. The Genesis block was created by the genius Bitcoin inventor Satoshi Nakamoto in January 3rd of 2009. Unlike any other block on the blockchain, it contains a hidden message embedded in its code. The Times, January 3rd, 2009. Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks. This message referenced the 2008 financial crisis, a subtle but powerful statement about why Bitcoin exists. It is a decentralized alternative to the traditional financial system. But why this message? And why embedded in the Genesis block? Back in 2009, during the peak of the financial crisis, Satoshi Nakamoto created something that would change everything. Trust in banks was completely destroyed back then. The whole system was crumbling, and the governments were throwing taxpayer money at failing banks like there was no tomorrow. Bitcoin was just not a random experiment. It was a direct challenge to the whole financial system. When they put that newspaper headline in the Genesis block, they were basically telling everyone that the old way of doing things was finished. At that time, global trust in banks was at all-time low. Governments bailing out failing institutions with taxpayer money. For many, this marked a failure of centralized systems. Bitcoin was Satoshi's answer to this crisis. It is a reminder that Bitcoin was created not to conform, but to disrupt. So the Genesis block holds 50 Bitcoins, but there's something insane about this. They can never be spent. In Bitcoin's early code makes it impossible to move the rewards from this block. But was it really a flaw, or was it made on purpose? This single detail, 50 Bitcoins forever locked, carry out weight far beyond its monetary value. Back then, no one really knew what Bitcoin would become. Those 50 coins were basically worthless in 2009. Today, they're worth millions, but they just sit there, frozen like some kind of digital time capsule. Some people think maybe Satoshi was trying to tell us something bigger, like Bitcoin was not really about getting rich, but about trust and transparency, and completely changing how money works. Some speculate it was a deliberate choice, symbolizing that Bitcoin is not just about personal gain, but about creating something much larger. A system that anyone can participate in, free of centralized control. A lot of crypto experts actually think locking up these first coins was Satoshi's way of proving they were legit. Like, if you're creating a whole new type of money and you want people to trust it, what better way than to lock up the very first coins forever, so no one can touch them? This might be why Bitcoin caught on so fast with the early adopters. They saw it was not just another get-rich scheme. Either way, the frozen Genesis block is both a technical breakthrough and a philosophical cornerstone of Bitcoin network. And that brings us to the big question: who owns the Genesis block? Satoshi Nakamoto's identity remains one of the greatest mysteries of our time. But mysteries like this are not just impossible, they're obsessions, drawing the curious and the skeptical alike into a web of speculation and intrigue. Back in those early Bitcoin days, it was all about this small group of really smart people who saw something revolutionary. The first Bitcoin transaction ever happened between Satoshi and this guy called Finney. Finney was actually this brilliant cryptographer and one of the first people to really get what Bitcoin could be. Some people think he might have been Satoshi, but he always denied it, right up until he passed away in 2014. Then there is this guy named Nick Szabo. This guy is very interesting because he created something called the gold bit even before Bitcoin was a thing. And when you read his old posts, they sound exactly like Satoshi's writing style. He never said anything about it, which basically makes people feel more suspicious. But here is what it really gets crazy. Some theorize that Nakamoto was not just one person, but an entire group, a collaboration of brilliant minds united by a single goal, revolutionizing the world's financial system. Others suggest something darker. What if Nakamoto was a government project created to test the limits of that decentralized technology? Or maybe something straight out of science fiction? Could Nakamoto be the creation of a super intelligent AI? The craziest part about all this is that in 2010, Satoshi was completely vanished. After spending 2 years building this incredible blockchain, talking to firms, sending emails, and working with other developers, they just disappear. No goodbyes, no explanation, nothing. Just think about that for a second. What kind of person creates something that's now worth over $1 trillion and then just walk away? Like, who does that? Most people cannot even resist checking their social media for a few hours, but Satoshi has not touched those coins or said anything in public for over a decade. The Genesis block in many ways reflects this mystery. It cannot be touched, it cannot be claimed or spoken for. So why does the Genesis block of Bitcoin still matter today? Well, it is not just about its monetary value, but it is its profound symbolism. The Genesis block is more than just the starting point of Bitcoin. It is the cornerstone of financial revolution. Think about how crazy this is. A block of code from more than 10 years ago still has millions of people completely obsessed. It's because it represents this huge shift in how we think about money and who controls it. The Genesis block basically proves that the whole system can change. Back when it was created, everyone thought banks and governments had to control money, because that is just how things worked. Now we know that this is not true anymore. This is also a cultural symbol. A Genesis block represents the beginning of the decentralized financial revolution. It reminds us of why Bitcoin was created, to challenge a broken system and offer a new way forward. It is like finding some ancient text that changes everything we thought we knew. Developers, economists, and crypto enthusiasts are all studying this block, trying to figure out what it means and what Satoshi was trying to tell us. The cool thing is that everyone sees something different in it, and also depends on what they are looking for. Second, its economic value is not just monetary. It is a digital artifact, a symbol of beginning of a movement that is reshaping our world. And third, this technological significance is unmatched. The Genesis block is the foundation of the blockchain revolution. Without it, there would be no DeFi, no NFTs, no smart contracts. It is the spark that lit the fire. But perhaps most importantly, the Genesis block represents a promise that technology can empower individuals, not just institutions. So what happens next? As Bitcoin continues to revolutionize the financial world, Genesis block remains a silent witness, a timeless artifact that reminds us of where we started. It is not just a technical milestone. It is a symbol of defiance, creativity, and uncharted possibilities. The weirdest part about all of this is that we still have more questions than answers. Like, why has no one touched those coins for so long? What was the plan of it all? Just to leave them sitting there forever as some kind of monument? Or maybe there's something bigger going on that we still have not figured out. It is kind of wild when you think about it. The Genesis block is basically like the Mona Lisa of crypto. Everyone has their own theories about what it means, but no one knows for sure. Developers and crypto experts spend countless hours analyzing every little detail, trying to understand what Satoshi was thinking. But its untouched nature leaves us with more questions than answers. Why has it been left untouched for so long? Was it meant to stay that way, an eternal monument to the birth of Bitcoin? Or does it hold a deeper, hidden purpose waiting to be revealed? And maybe that is exactly what Satoshi wanted. Like, maybe the whole point is not to solve the mystery, but to keep us questioning everything about money, technology, and trust. It is pretty genius when you think about it in that way. Therefore, if the story becomes not just about the past, but about the mysteries that shape Bitcoin evolving narrative. It is a symbol of perfection, untouched, because it was never meant to be disturbed. The Genesis block is not just some ancient piece of Bitcoin. It's a challenge to everything we thought we knew about money. When you actually stop and think about it, this whole thing is pretty mind-blowing. We got these 50 Bitcoins just sitting there worth billions. No one can touch. Created by someone no one knows. With a message about banks that perfectly captures why we need Bitcoin in the first place. It is like Satoshi left us this perfect little time capsule. Every part of it means something. The log coins, the newspaper headlines, even the mysterious disappearing act. It is all connected somehow, and we're still trying to figure out exactly what it all means. But it is also a mystery, one that continues to capture imagination across the globe. Who owns it? Why was it created this way? And what deeper meaning does it carry? Therefore, its untouched status becomes more than a technical detail. It is a call to action. It reminds us that Bitcoin is not just about creating wealth. It is about creating freedom, disrupting the status quo. Will the Genesis block always remain untouched? Its secrets locked away forever? Or will future generations find new meaning in its existence, uncovering truths we can only imagine today? One thing is certain, it is not just about money. It is about freedom, innovation, and the endless possibilities of the decentralized world. So what do you think? Who do you believe owns the Genesis block? And why do you think they have left so many coins untouched? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you're into these kinds of crypto mysteries, do not forget to hit that subscribe button. We have gotten some insane stories coming up about some of the biggest hacks and scams in crypto history that will completely blow your mind.